It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show. And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan, and I want you to hear the truth that you're going to hear that's going to shock you. It's something that's going to bless your mind. Geneva's truth, Mrs. Tomeka Cerone, live in the Logan Power Show. How you doing, ma'am?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you here.
So excited to be here this evening.
Yes, ma'am. And let's talk about your book, Geneva's Truth.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So listen, Geneva's Truth is a fiction novel, but it's loosely based on my life. Geneva's Truth goes through the story of a young woman, Geneva, who has lived her entire life wearing this mask, right? Everyone thinks that she's perfect. Everyone believes that she's who they want to be. But little do they know that on the inside, she's broken and she's damaged and she's torn and she's dying on the inside. Geneva's Truth takes you through some of Geneva's horrific pains and tragedies, but it also gives you the ability to experience some of her highs, because we know that people are up and we're down. Sometimes we're high, sometimes we're low. And the book takes you on that journey with Geneva. I'm telling you, I wrote this book to bless the lives of millions of people. And that sounds crazy, right? Because I don't know millions of people, but I know so many people that know so many people. And they're sharing this book because they believe the same thing, that it will bless your life.
Absolutely. And we want things to bless your life. You know, I know you take your testimony and put it to the pen and the pad. What has been the, I guess, pivotal point in the chapter of the book? I know a lot of times when you write about yourself, even though it's fictional, it can hit home because you remember how things were and how you come through so much. So was there a particular point of the chapter you saying like yourself, like, wow, I've come this far?
Definitely. For me, writing the book, chapter 6 is called The Little Girl Within. And once I started to write that chapter, I definitely had to look, really face myself. And I had to realize where I was at that point in time when I was writing and where I had been when I was reflecting. And in chapter 6, you'll find Geneva experiencing her first suicide attempt. And, you know, in a lot of communities, mental illness and mental health is kind of taboo, right? But when I had to write about it, I had to basically dissect all of the symptoms of suicide, the voices that sometimes people hear when they're in that place. And it made me realize that I've come from such a dark place, but I've made it through. And when my readers read chapter 6, they're going to cry, they're going to sympathize with Geneva, but they're also going to follow up in the 7th chapter and they're going to see her come out.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people don't know suicide is something that has not gone away. I think we are sort of trying to sometimes being a hero to write your truth. Not only does it help you, but it helps somebody else. And I applaud you for talking about things that we don't really talk about. People don't want to admit, like, you know, hey, I had suicidal thoughts. I wanted to take my life, but God spared me. And I think a lot of times we don't want to acknowledge the truth. People always say like the truth hurts, but I look at the truth as a healing factor because there's so many other variables that we don't see. And I think that is the part that we have to have better understanding. So for you, how has this book healed you as a person? Has it made you, Miss Cerone, a better woman?
It definitely has. The very first thing is, whenever you're going through something, right? Whenever you're going through things, you feel like you're the only one going through that. you kind of get this why me attitude, right? Like, why do I have to suffer this? Why do I have to suffer these losses? Why do I keep losing again? Well, writing the book helped me realize that there was really no why me, why not me. I had to write the book because there's so many people that are coming behind me that are going through similar things that Geneva has gone through, similar things that she's overcome. And like you said, just about the fact about suicide, people don't want to talk about it. There's so many tough topics in that book that people don't want to talk about. And writing that book made me realize that everything that I went through, everything that I overcame was because I needed to share that testimony with somebody else.
Absolutely. And I think that we have to understand that through speaking things that are in existence. Now, I know from this book there is something else coming in the horizon. So I know we don't always want to spill the beans, but is there something else that you're about to sprinkle this year or next year coming soon?
Definitely. So Geneva's Truth, for those that have read the book and for those that are going to read the book, the very last chapter just drops you off. I have had readers say, it seems like you dropped me off in the middle of a deserted island. Like, now I'm just here. And it did that purposely because there is a part two. Geneva doesn't die. She lives, right? And because she lives, she's continuing on the journey. And there is a part two that will be out probably the spring of next year, but we're excited about it.
Absolutely. I always want to get the readers on a nice high of life and know that what Miss Tomeka is doing is something that we want to read. We know we hear the Logan Power Show. We're definitely going to support her by our copy. Due to the fact is we always want to sow seeds with seed is due. And we want to encourage everyone who's watching to purchase a copy today. Not because we're saying that because she's on the show, but we always want to encourage every author that comes onto the Logan Power Show to, fulfill your dream. Now, a couple questions, definitely we want to respect your time. I'm speaking to your dream. Did you ever see yourself here in your life in this point of being a writer? Because I know a lot of times when most writers don't always say, this is what I envisioned myself 20 years ago, and I saw myself standing here and I want to write one day. But did you ever see yourself being not just a writer, but an advocate for change?
Well, definitely, I did not see myself writing a book. Definitely not a book about the truth, because almost all of my life, my young adult life, it was always about perception, how it looked. So I never thought I'd write a book about truth, honestly. I always knew that one of my purposes in the earth was to empower and to change the lives of those around me. So it just so happens that the book and my writing abilities were a gift from God, right? It was a gift to channel those things in which I needed to do, because reaching all of the people that Geneva's Truth has reached, I'm not sure if I could have done it without that.
Okay, got it. And, final big question that we want to, have a better understanding. You are not just an advocate for just people who have gone through trials and tribulations, but you are a big woman advocate. And what I want to figure out from yourself, what do you feel like women should be doing now to be able to make them stronger? Now, listen, I'm not a gender basher, so on and so forth. I'm a male myself now. So fellas who listen to me, there's nothing I'm bashing on the fellas. Okay. I got a wife and I have 3 kids myself, and my oldest is my daughter. So the reason why I'm saying that is because in society, we want the perception of what a strong woman looks like is all over the place. There's not like a sort of like a formula, but it's different layouts. Like you can draw any masterpiece, but it looks different. But sort of like a formula for what women should be striving for. Just in your personal perception, what should a strong woman should be, I guess, have the traits or the attributes to make them strong in your personal opinion?
Well, one of the things that I have really been promoting throughout this last couple of years, and especially in this last year, even going through the pandemic for women everywhere, is women were naturally nurturers, right? We want to take care of everybody else, right? You know, we will feed others and we will go to bed hungry. But one thing that I have really been instilling in the women that I've had the opportunity to speak to and to minister to is we have to put ourselves first, right? We have to stop pouring from empty cups. I like to always give this analogy. When you get on a plane, right? The pilot says that if this plane loses air, that first you must grab your mask and you must secure yours first before you attempt to help someone else. That's even your child might be sitting next to you, your husband, your mother, your grandparents, whoever's sitting in that seat next to you, you can't help them until you secure your oxygen. So many times women, we just jump out and try to help everybody else and we neglect ourselves. So in this last year, I've really been promoting self-care for the women because so many of us are walking around dealing with so many things on the inside, but trying to heal others around us. And let me tell you what, it is hard to pour from an empty cup. No one's going to get anything. So that's one of the things that I've really, really been speaking to my sisters about is putting yourself first. I know it sounds so scary for women that are out there because even myself, I first said, wait a minute, I have to put my children first. My children, I gave them life. If you're not filled, if your cup is not filled, you will go to pour for your child and not a drop will come out. Your child could die of thirst too. So in this season, I'm compelling all the women to take some time for yourself, for self-care, for self-examination, and for lots of self-love.
Amen. And for those that are listening to it, in the Bible, it talks about new wine. And you can't have old wineskin and new wine. So understand this. If you say that God has transformed you in the renewing of your mind in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, we have to understand that have a renewed mind means you have to get yourself together and That's your right. Personal relationship with God has to be on one accord. Because my thing is, if you got yourself together, it's this transformation she's talking about. For those that she mentioned about, let's be honest, any mother out there, if you had, or any parent, let's speak of that, any parent, I don't want to be gender biased. Any parent, if there was one mask between you and your child, you tell your child, put it on and I'm going to live, and you're going to live on, you live the legacy. That's any parent. Yeah. But if you have two masks, you'll make sure that you're secure first.
That's right.
Then you make sure your child is second. We're not being selfish. We're just we're being aware, because understand this, Jesus, when he did his 40 days and 40 nights, he did his thing first and That's fasted right. before anybody else. So it's not being selfish, is that you have to be prepared in this season for what God is telling you to do, because you can't help nobody if you don't have a personal relationship with God yourself. So always about having your own personal relationship. Be whole. Because if you're whole, you know who you are, then no one else can tell you, like, I know who you are. No, I've been already ordained. I was told who I am. So when I know who I am, then no one has to, there's confirming what's been already told. So I want you all who are watching, to my ladies, stay strong. To my fellas, stay strong. To my people, tell the truth. And to the world, let's heal the land. And this is what we want to do. This is all the time I got. My name is Calvin, the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We love y'all. We'll see you soon.
I wrote Geneva's truth for every person who's ever had to live a lie. I wrote Geneva's truth for every person who's ever felt the harsh sting of rejection and infidelity. I wrote Geneva's truth for every woman who's ever had to sacrifice herself for the sake of her children and her family, because you are not a victim. You are victorious. I wrote Geneva's truth because you will survive, because you are more than a conqueror. I wrote Geneva's truth for you.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.